Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile 2 video to talk about the 0.3 Third Edict state of minions before we have Path of Building updated, before we have access to the JSON file. All I have is the reveal stream and the patch notes. It's literally impossible for us to tell which minion is going to be the best. So I want to talk about the impact of the changes we've seen in the patch notes for minions moving forward with the information that we do have before we see the full skill tree. So in the patch notes, we have things stating such as the Skeletal Arsonist having their explosive demise now become an attack instead of a spell, dealing 300% attack damage, dealing a slightly lower percent of the minion's max life as an explosion, but increasing the threshold of which the minion's explosions can actually hit off by a little bit over 100 HP. Skeletal Brutes is changing their entire command ability to now creating a war cry that intimidates nearby enemies and consumes freeze on enemies and allies to deal damage in an area around those targets. The Cleric is also being altered so that now it provides a buff to the skeletals that it's reviving to be immune to damage for up to 3 seconds instead of the extra minion life. Skeletal Frost Mages is seeing a complete rework on their ability, now providing an ice armor as an AoE targeted ability. And this is coating them with an area in frost, reducing the damage that they take from hits, causing enemies that hit them to take cold damage as a return reflection damage or thorns. And they also count as being frozen for other effects and skills. The quality also provides more damage, which is a quality change that has been seen across the board, where quality is increasing damage up into the minions instead of reducing the reservation. This Frost Mage ability means that you can now create these frost on minions and then have your Brute command ability Warcry and explode these freezes. So that's a very interesting approach, which I'm definitely going to be humoring as we get update to the information on the Path of Building, update the skill tree, so we can actually play around with this. The Sniper Skeletons also saw a change to the gas hour, having a lower cooldown and also increasing the damage it's doing, as well as that quality change with more damage, multiplicative damage that is, instead of the reservation. The Storm Mages also saw a bit of a massive buff to its Death Storm ability, which would also weave kind of well into the idea of creating a Frost Mage providing frozen on some of your minions, Brutes exploding them, following that up with a Storm Mage command ability, which gets significantly buffed for massive damage output. However, they also did a slight nerf to the Storm Mage's actual on-hit projectile, where it changed 2 times at all gem levels, instead of scaling from 2 up to 4 chains. So it seems like that seems to be the focus for minions of the ranged capabilities, to be more in line with utilizing their command abilities rather than their auto attacks, as we can see. Some other changes that was made is that Unearth, for example, can now be used on the corpses of reviving skeletal corpses, which means that if you detonate these, you can then cast Unearth on the dead skeletons that you just created, and then have your Unearthed minions spawn from that instead. This is a way for us to pseudo-generate corpses versus single target boss fights, for example, where we don't have a bunch of other enemies to create corpses out of. So quite some cool things around there. But most importantly, there are some changes happening to melee minions. The melee skeletons will be giving a dash ability, or like a leap thing, where they basically are leaping towards their enemies. And there's no way for me to tell if this is going to be very good, or if it's just going to be a cool thing, or if it's going to be ass. I have no idea. But seemingly, based on the information I've gotten from talking to GHAZZY and what we've seen and read, it seems like they're going to be able to leap through small doorways where minions have a tendency of getting blocked and just clamp up and just block each other. It seems like the minions will actually be able to leap through the doorway and actually be more effective in combat as a result of these things. There is, however, a slight little problem to all of this, and a couple of problems. One of them is the minion survivability, which obviously could be helped with the Skeletal Frost Mage coating the enemies or your minions in these frost armor, if you will, to help them mitigate damage taken. And we also have the immunity to damage up to 3 seconds when their Cleric is reviving them. We also, on top of this, have a few other things happening when it comes to issues with them. One of them being the Font of Rage bug. Now, I have yet again reached out to GHAZZY about this. I wrote to Jonathan just moments before recording this, to talk about the fact that in the bug fixes in the patch notes, we didn't see Font of Rage being addressed. And for those of you who don't know, the Font of Rage is supposed to generate rage to nearby allies, when it's being put off on something like a flesh offering skill, for example. The problem here is that your minions are not getting the rage, which is very detrimental in general, because that's a lot of damage they're missing out on, especially reavers. So hopefully we'll see a fix to that before the launch is actually happening on the 29th. And so far, my current state on these skeletal changes is that I think we'll be looking into making some actual commandment abilities where brutes are exploding minions. I definitely see a place where Unearth is going to be introduced to an actual usable... I don't want to use the word meta because we have no idea how that's going to go, but I definitely can see Unearth becoming more and more usable. What I will say is, based on just the skeletal parts, minions are eating well this patch. There's a lot of cool things happening. There was a confirmation from Jonathan just a couple hours ago where he said when you as a player sprint, your minions will also be receiving a movement buff so they can keep up with you. This means that during combat, if you're sprinting, your minions will move faster as well. So I'm quite excited for that. Something else that was mentioned, which is quite big, that is one of the things that I'm mostly excited for, is actually the first iteration of GGG trying to do a spirit or spectre balance, where they are increasing or reducing the reservation cost of certain specters, and also drastically increasing with a multiplicative damage scaling buff to spectre units in general. What will this mean? We have no idea, because we don't know which minions are getting buffed or nerfed with this. When it comes to the spirit cost, we have no idea. We're also getting over 100 new monsters. And when I say monsters, I'm obviously referring to specters that we're going to have to look at, which we don't have access to in the database from PoE 2DB until the game files being downloadable, so they can just scrape that by mining it, and then we'll look through it and test those things out. There's a couple of minor other things around us, but I wanted to make this video to just at least talk about my current iteration and thoughts around the skeletal ideas. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more builds utilizing Unearth in general, especially with the mana costs and stuff that they were talking about. We're going to be reduced across the board for a lot of skills, and Unearth is one of those skills that really needed that. And also these big changes to the abilities of the skeletal abilities. There was a footage shown on the reveal about this as well, which looks really cool. So I'm quite excited to see that type of minion play being utilized, which is quite an active playstyle. But also the spectre approach. We have more specters. The first attempt from GGG trying to balance specters and also increasing their damage output, hopefully generating I wouldn't say a large variety, but at least a handful of choices of functional endgame playable spectre minions to be used for combat. Sadly, I'm not going to be able to give you, hey, this is a PUB, or you should use this minion, or you should use that minion. I think anyone providing that information right now is completely, wild, and I wouldn't go for that, because we have no information other than these changes, as well as removing the necessity of accuracy for all your minions. Basically, what they've done is that they're telling you that every single minion that is attacking has a 100% chance to hit at all times. Enemies cannot evade your attacks, which is crazy. So it's going to be very fun to see what kind of impact that will have, as we don't have that necessity anymore. It also means that it will be very interesting to see how the skill tree is going to adapt and change according to this, now that we don't need any accuracy from the skill tree. All of those nodes are taken away. All of the accuracy modifiers rolling on weapons or jewels are taken away as well, which offers us quite a few other venues to take when it comes to scaling. We'll also have an introduction of a reaping staff, but again, I have no idea if the reaping staff can roll the modifier of plus level of minion skills, which obviously I hope we can, because we did see confirmation on the footage that we can put spirit on that weapon, which is obviously very, very important. But that's basically all I have for you in this video. I just wanted to update people that keep asking me, yo, GHAZZY, what's the state of minions? What are we looking at? This is all the information I have. We have some crazy cool changes, some really nice quality of life stuff happening, but also some drastic changes in terms of commandment abilities for the skeletal minions in general. From the arsonist is being changed a little bit. Brute is a massive change. Frostmage is insane, but can also help us with keeping our minions alive, as well as the changes to Unearth, being able to summon them, and the whole jumping ability where your minions will actually leap to their enemy targets, as well as the movement buff that they will get when you're sprinting. There's a long list of other changes happening. I have a couple of videos on my channel you can check out as well, where I go through the patch notes and the TLDR from the reveal footage, for example, as well. I recommend checking those out. But this is all I have for you when it comes to specific minions. And all we're waiting for right now is the JSON file. Once we have the JSON file, we can then see the skill tree. And with the skill tree available, we can then make a better judgment on which minions looks better or not, except for specters. I will not be able to touch specters. I can't tell you which specters will be good until we see the data mine files to be able to dig through the new minions. And then we'll have to try to figure out and look once the league launches which specters have what spirit cost, and then go from there. Anyways, I don't want to prolong this and rant too much. What I will point out is that I will be playing Last Epoch on the Last Epoch launch, which is at the time of this recording tomorrow evening. It is currently 4:20 a.m. here. Hence the super tired face. But I'll be playing Last Epoch. I'll be doing Minions Necromancer to start with, and we'll be going ham on that. And then after the first launch push of that, I'll very likely be weaving very quickly back to PoE 2, because PoE 2 is taking a lot of attention for me right now, and I'm super excited for the launch of this, and I hope you guys are as well. Anyways, let me know in the comments below what you think is the best minion change you saw in the patch notes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content. And yeah, that's about it.